These are my audience.
No cards. When people from outside the Midwest are asked about their opinions on the Midwest, it's for the most part negative. There's nothing to do there, it's all cornfields and cows, and to be honest, they're not entirely wrong. While there are a lot of cows and cornfields, there are some hidden gems. For instance, one town full of hip spots, young people, and a historically strong background is Lawrence, Kansas. Located between Topeka and Kansas City, it's a smaller town that most just drive by. I, for one, actually go to the school here. I'm a third-year architecture student at the University of Kansas. While the school is great, the town itself is one not like most. Lawrence, Kansas has a strong history dealing with its early settlement, had a major impact on the Civil War when it came to slavery, and is still today a booming city not only to visit but to live in as well. To start us off, the plains of the Midwest didn't always have a name. In fact, they were home to Indian tribes for thousands of years. Some of the more prominent tribes are the Cheyenne, Pawnee, and Arapaho. They had been here for thousands of years and knew the land better than anyone. We had not actually set foot on the land until the 1820s when the Europeans began to move west. Dave Anders, a writer for Legends of America, states, "Traders and explorers started to travel the western trails of what would become known as the Oregon and Santa Fe trails. These paths had long been used by the Indians between camping and hunting sites, illustrating that because of the Indians and their way of trading, Europeans were able to find the land and eventually take it for themselves. The territory we now know as Kansas was not official until 1854 because of the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This was when things began to get juicy. According to Anders, settlers could decide whether to admit their territory as a slave or free state, signifying that this specific territory, and in specific Lawrence, Kansas, was up for grabs for those who want to be free or for slaves. August 1st, 1854, 29 northern immigrants were the first to arrive to Lawrence, Kansas. These were the people that wanted to abolish slavery. And because of this movement, people from both sides began to flood Lawrence and hoped to make it a state of their pleasure. Anders also states Lawrence is one of the few cities in Kansas founded purely for political reasons, which I personally think is kind of cool. If it wasn't for these people taking a risk at the time and being a turning point in the war, who knows where we would be today. Although Kansas was heading to be a free state, it did not stop those who were pro-slavery. Lawrence would soon feel the wrath and desire for slavery. Lawrence, Kansas not only was a major part in trying to stop slavery politically, but they also did their part with trying to get slaves to freedom. Lawrence was an important stop in the Underground Railroad. The people in the front line who would go search, find, and rescue the slaves were known as the Jayhawkers, hence KU's mascot. Kansas and Missouri had been at an ongoing border war during this entire time, and when Kansas was deemed a free state was when Missouri decided to do the unthinkable. August of 1863, 400 men who were pro-slavery rode to Lawrence, Kansas, and burned, murdered, and destroyed the entire town. This event is known as Bleeding Kansas. Anders describes these men as people who turned the town into a bloody and blazing inferno unparalleled in its brutality, killing 180 men and boys, and left Lawrence nothing but smoldering ruins. I think Dave did a fantastic job with his word choice, using strong and horrific phrases to give us the slightest look of how gruesome this event actually was. This event was literally one for the books, but the people of Lawrence, Kansas were stronger than their opponents, and in less than a year, the resilient citizens were back and on their feet and better than ever. In 1864, the first stones were laid to build the town which we know and experience today as Lawrence, Kansas. The town is still around and booming more than ever. With a population a tad over 100,000, it's not the little town we used to know. Even though Lawrence has an increased population, it has not lost its historic charm. Among other things, in 2000, Lawrence was ranked the best preserved and unique communities in America, which I, for one, 100% believe. One of the main attractions is Massachusetts Street, and we call it Mass Street here, the local people. It's one of the main streets of the town. It has every shop one could dream of. It has local brewing companies, coffee shops, restaurants, thrift shops, and even a store that lets you customize any shirt with anything you want on it, which I've never seen or heard of until I moved here. Also, as I previously mentioned, it's home to the University of Kansas, which has been a fantastic school for me in my future. The school reflects the town's history with the campus architecture, while also adding some spice with the new, more modern buildings. It's been a very welcoming environment for me and others not from here. The city has had its ups and downs, but ultimately came out on top. All in all, I hope you learned a little something about a town you probably never even thought of. Lawrence has a strong historical background, has been a key factor in the Civil War, and is still today a strong and growing community. Going to school and living here for the past 3 years, I've learned a lot about the town that I didn't know. It's really made me appreciate the town a little more, and it's definitely more interesting than Papio, I can tell you that. I truly think if you're looking to visit or even move here, anyone will fall in love with it. My mom always asks every time she visits me, what kind of water are they giving you here? Everyone's so nice. Thank you. And this is a fun fact I found while doing research. The University of Kansas was the first state institution in the United States to adopt coeducation of the sexes, which I thought was really interesting. But thank you guys for listening. Have a good rest of the year. Bye. Thanks for coming.